Thank you for listening to the What's That All About podcast. Each week we take a story from this week's news, tell you what it's all about, and let you, our listeners, have your say.
Week 1. The Russian Meteorite. It seems the entire population has an obsession with the end of the world phenomenon.
The next way in which the world is meant to end, or we're all meant to die.
Phenomenons have been predicted for every few years since 634 BC. James Fraser King, an American geoscientist, has even proposed a phenomenon for year 500 million, in which he predicts that carbon dioxide levels on Earth will drop to an inhospitable level. These phenomenon are usually based on ancient books or unexplainable scientific feats.
Harold Campin predicted that the world would end on the 21st of October, 2011.
Suggesting that a series of raptures and earthquakes would start on the 21st of May, leading to the world's eventual end 5 months later.
In 2012, the end of the world was predicted by the Mayans.
They claimed that the Earth would be destroyed by an asteroid or alien invasion.
More recently, on the 15th of February 2013, an object from the cosmos entered the Earth's atmosphere at 40,000 miles per hour. Before colliding with the Earth, the meteor broke up over the city of Chelyabinsk Oblast.
On a clear day in Russia, the meteorite could be seen plummeting through the morning sky.
The effects were devastating. 4,300 buildings destroyed, millions of dollars worth of damage was caused, and more shockingly, 1,500 people were injured.
These effects were somewhat minimal, as the large pieces of rock missed largely populated areas.
One could only imagine what it's like to be there amongst this event, in a state of panic, clueless to what has just happened.
I ran to Mummy and we got an awful jolt, like an earthquake. The cat was so frightened it was scrabbling at the radiator.
Was how one girl described her experience.
I looked out the window and saw a huge line of smoke, like you get from a plane, but many times bigger.
Described another man.
I was scared to death when a bright flash went off.
Stated one woman as she described her panic. The Russian meteorite has divided opinion. People have acted angrily, claiming things like this should be predicted. People argue that we should be more prepared to cope when things like this occur. What's that all about? Key questions.
You're probably aware of the answers to basic questions, such as what happened, when it happened, and where it happened. But here at What's That All About, we like to dig a little bit deeper and answer those all-important key questions and explain what the Russian meteor is all about. First of all, what is a meteor, or meteorite?
People mix up a meteor with a shooting star, but it has nothing to do with a shooting star. Put simply, a meteor is small bits of material from space which burn through the Earth's atmosphere. A meteor becomes a meteorite when it passes through the Earth's atmosphere and actually makes contact with the ground.
And how common are they?
Well, it's a little known fact which may surprise people, but tens of thousands of tons of meteor fall each and every year. The majority of this is burnt up before it can reach the atmosphere, but sometimes, like in what happened in Russia, the meteor is able to pass through the atmosphere and collide with the Earth.
So, if it's uncommon for a meteor to pass through the atmosphere, then what happened in Russia? Why did the Russian meteor not just burn up before passing through and breaking up over Chelyabinsk Oblast?
Looking at footage, it appears as though the meteor did burn up. However, some meteorites still manage to reach Earth. It's not that meteorites don't reach Earth often, it's just that they usually land in areas where they cannot be seen, such as an ocean. The difference with the Russian meteorite was that it collided with a highly populated area, making it more noticeable.
What's that all about? Facts.
The space rock struck the Earth's atmosphere with a force of about 300 kilotons, or 25 times greater than the atomic bomb dropped at Hiroshima in 1945.
I can't believe that.
The 55-foot wide meteor was comprised mostly of iron, weighed about 10,000 tons, and was travelling 40,000 miles per hour when it exploded, according to NASA. The shockwave shattered 50 acres of glass in the windows of more than 4,000 buildings in Russia's Chelyabinsk region during a frigid winter. Nearly 60% of the windows have reportedly been replaced.
The impact wave and blast damaged around 297 homes, 12 schools, a number of other social facilities and some industrial sites, according to Russian Minister of Civil Defense Vladimir Buchkov. About 1,200 people were injured, largely by flying glass, and 40 were still hospitalised as of Sunday. More than 24,000 workers and volunteers with 3,000 pieces of equipment and 8 aircraft at their disposal mobilised to the region to cover windows, gather food and make other relief efforts in the face of an estimated $33 million in damage.
I can't believe that.
The meteor reportedly left a 20-foot wide hole in Chebakul Lake, about 50 miles outside the city, and Russian scientists say they found fragments of it. The Russian meteor was the size of a bus.
I can't believe that.
What's that all about? The debate.
Starting with phenomena itself, on the one hand it can be argued that
These phenomena are ridiculous. They have no truth. There is no way that one person or a group of people can predict that the world is going to end. Also, there have been so many failed attempts over the years that it's got to a point where people seem to just making stuff up.
on the other hand,
There must be some truth within these theories. For example, the main prediction for the end of the world was based on the end of the main calendar, and the noise that was heard from around the world has been reported as being Mother Earth groaning, others the opening of hell, both of which can be explained by the Earth's plates moving, which can be supported by the current changes in weather patterns and unpredictable climate changes.
Taking the 2012 phenomenon, for example, if that was supposedly true, then there must be reasons for it being true, because it's 2013 and, well, I'm still alive, so there needs to be at least 5 reasons that it was supposedly true.
UK and US business markets were predicted to hit crisis in 2012.
That doesn't affect the world ending, really, because the market's always crashing and no one's died directly because of it.
America is now more than ever at risk of a weapons of mass destruction strike. More and more experience of an alien life form is being discovered born on other planets.
Well,
Last time a meteor hit, dinosaurs were discovered.
it's either the end of world or more dinosaurs.
A meteor was just predicted to hit in 2012, and, well, that's now happened in 2013.
But the world has not ended. We're still alive. It didn't end the world, clearly, because we're talking here on this podcast. Talking about the Russian meteor, the main question which is being asked is, why did it happen? As always, when these sort of things happen, there are many explanations.
The first and the main one is the Americans shooting the satellite from the sky, causing the explosion.
second could be that the Americans were testing the weapons.
And the third, and the main major one for in Russia, was that the Russian government shot the meteorite on impact to minimise the damage to the civilization.
Or, as a normal person would suggest, is that it was just a meteor that fell out of the sky, burnt through the Earth's atmosphere, and crumbled over Chelyabinsk Oblast. So, okay, then let's take the theory that the Americans were testing weapons over Russia and explain that a little bit more.
Well, as we know from history, that the Americans and the Russians have never really liked each other, as we know. We could take, as example, the Cold War. Obviously, in that situation, the Russians and the Americans were having a bit of a standoff. And if they wanted to have a go at each other, kill each other, it could have been easily done within a matter of days, months. So to say that this was the Americans have testing weapons over the Russians now is preposterous.
Well, exactly. Yeah, there's no evidence to suggest that it was an American weapon strike. It was just one man, the president of Russia or whatever, a politician. Just one man suggesting that it was the Americans' weapon strike.
But the thing is, though, with these kind of natural disasters and everything, they've always been predicted, except for now, where this came completely out of the blue, bringing forth questions as to where it came from and what links America could possibly have with Russia.
It is ridiculous, like it's being said. That's my opinion.
Well, they've been in this cold stasis since the 80s with the Cold War, and well, why not do it now when the American economy is just starting to strike up, when all other economies are hitting rock bottom? Why not now when America knows Russia's weakening? Why not now?
Looking in more depth at this situation, many of the pieces found from the meteor crash have actually been sold on eBay for about £6,000. And even speaking in that sort of sense, instead of actually trying to save their city, people of Chelyabinsk sprinted to this site so that they could pick up the pieces to make a little bit of money. And obviously from this, we could see that the Russians have always seen that there's money to be had from this. So they've tried to build a theme park site on top of it.
From this, don't you think that it could actually have been the Russian government who's created this meteorite? Well, no, we've said about Americans weapon testing, but surely it could have been Russians testing it, and Russians kind of trying to boost their economy.
it's not a far-fetched idea that the Russians could have actually made this whole story up so that they could get more money into their economy. I mean, we know that times are tough at the minute, but it would be quite some idea to do that.
So a week has passed since the meteor struck Russia. Now the effects are known, the cleanup begins. Many people continue to live in devastation. Hopefully, this will be the last major meteor strike in the foreseeable future.
So there you have it. What's that all about? Views and opinions on the meteor that hit Russia. Anyway, that's it from us for this week. So if you'd like to join in the discussion, please follow us on Twitter at WTAB Podcast or Facebook at What's That All About. And please join us next week to discuss another varied and interesting topic. Thank you.